I run the Institute for Study of Science, Technology and Innovation, and now we've got the chimpanzee safely on one side of the screen, welcoming the audience to the ISSTI retreat. What I'm going to talk about, well, welcome to you. There's lots of old faces and there's lots of new faces. Particular welcome to Trevor Pinch, wherever he is there, our esteemed visitor from Cornell Copenhagen. I've been asked to say, well, I'll talk a bit about what we're trying to do with the ISSTI retreat, and I've been asked to say a bit of a history about ISSTI, where does it come from, Science, Technology and Innovation Studies at Edinburgh. And then we're going to do a very quick round of introductions, and then there'll be some housekeeping announcements, and then we'll start the main part of the retreat, by which time John McKenzie hopefully will arrive in his taxi. And I'll just flag, that one of the kind of goals of the retreat is to say where we're coming from, but also where we're going to, and we'll come back to that in closing sessions tomorrow afternoon when we've got seat handles. So, what's the role of the ISSTI retreat? Well, we're all, as scholars, involved in our own personal research, our local research networks, stuck in particular disciplinary traditions or substantive concerns. And the role of the ISSTI retreat is to kind of get us to move outside our comfort zone, to engage with other people, other colleagues in the field, to explore differences and similarities in a safe and playful space with our colleagues to find out more about each other's work. We're often actually quite poor. We go out and do international conferences, we're often quite poor at presenting our own work internally, and as a result there's a risk of fragmentation. And so the ISSTI retreat is trying to kind of recreate the community, create synergies, explore synergies, identify the hot ideas, and I will flag to you that our PhD students are running a session tomorrow where they will be surveying all the academic staff here to find out what's hot and what's not, what was hot in the past and what's hot today. So if you get approached by a PhD student and interviewed, don't run away. That's part of the show, and they'll be presenting tomorrow. So one theme then is to identify the hot ideas, and as it turned out, we had a number of speakers talking around the idea of evaluation. So that's the core essence of today's work. We're also trying to explore synergies and possibly serendipitous linkages between different traditions of work. And that's the theme of tomorrow's session, where we've got various different kinds of people coming together for various kind of consultations. So these are the kind of planned synergies and interactions, but we hope other kind of unplanned synergies and interactions will emerge in the course of the event. So people said, can we have a bit of a history about science and technology studies? And we've got ISSTI and STIS, got lots of initials floating around. So I thought I'd give a brief history. And the brief history has to start in 1964, when Edinburgh was one of 4 places chosen for investments by the UK in the area of science and technology studies. In Edinburgh, David Edge set up the Science Studies Unit and appointed Barry Barnes and James Bloor and the rest of his history. Edinburgh became known as the Edinburgh School for the strong program in scientific knowledge, and that work continues today in a strand of work on the history and sociology of science and medicine. And then things didn't change for another 20 years, it seems. And then Donald McKenzie and Judy Wiseman published their Social Shaping Technology book. I was appointed to run a program of social research and technology, and we bid for one of the ISSTI programs in information and communication technology, ISSTI, which was learning to run centres. And there was a framework of interdisciplinary research, program of interdisciplinary research, which started around information and communication technology, extended to other areas, energy, environment, and sciences. So those 2 strands of research went in parallel, but there were obvious synergies, and RCSS, which hosted the Technology Studies Programme and Science Studies Unit, initially became co-located in the High School Yards area and eventually joined to form Science and Technology and Innovation Studies. So, before that, how simple was it? Before that, the Dean of Social Science said, well, actually, there's a body of capacity in science and technology studies, which is not really being exploited properly. And you have a range of specialist centres which are all too small to have critical mass. So we're not managing to make the impact that we could. And we had the Research Centre for Social Sciences, we had the Science Studies Unit, we had the Entrepreneurship and Innovation group in Business Studies, and we had a group in Japanese European Technology Studies, Martin Fransman, in economics. And the idea was that if we could, okay, we had a number of specialists doing excellent work and specialists, but if we wanted to succeed, we had to have a bigger public presence, we had to have specialist dissemination. And so the idea emerged that we would produce ISSTI, an institute, as a public face in dealing with our colleagues, in dealing with external audiences, and in dealing with funding bodies. So ISSTI was set up as this group of research centres, three research centres, fairly small initially. Since then, what happened, as I say, we had Science Studies Unit and research centres co-located, very successful postgraduate programmes, increasing research collaboration, and eventually formed the thing that in other institutions is a department, a subject group. So growth there, but we've also seen a proliferation of other centres, individual scholars and specialist centres right across the university. And actually, if we look at the number of people doing science, technology and innovation studies, the majority are not in science, technology and innovation studies subject group. The majority are spread all over the place: economics, sociology, politics, law, beyond. And actually that's become even more marked with a recent wave of appointments. So we tried actually to produce on our website, Valerie and Anne and I tried to show the complex sets of relationships that underpinned ISSTI. So there's the groups within science, technology, innovation subject groups, other people within social and political sciences, colleagues from Central African Studies, John McKenzie and others from sociology, people from politics, colleagues from social anthropology. Are they here yet? But we'll see them tomorrow. I mentioned business studies as being a key group. In the School of Law, there was a group, SCRIPT, working on intellectual property and technology law, and more recently, the James Mason Institute, which talks about medical ethics and related issues. Martin Fransman still working in the School of Economics. Edinburgh College of Art has been absorbed by Edinburgh University, and that's brought a whole load of people who do design studies, people with kind of interestingly different ways of approaching work. And then architects looking at the built environment, how that's designed, how it's produced, how it might be produced differently. Then we've got long-term collaborations with the College of Science and Engineering, and Stuart Anderson walked in. Where was he? There, who's the Deputy Director of the School of Informatics, and we've been working together for about 25 years. There's a very lively social informatics group. There's a load of people in geosciences working in the area of energy and environmental sustainability. And tomorrow morning you'll see the latest collaboration we have with Luke Bisbee and the fire safety engineers who wanted to understand how science and technology studies can help fire safety engineering do its job better. And then finally, with lots of work in life science, increasingly intensive collaborations with the College of Medicine, Vet Medicine, people are mainly in population health sciences, where we have an e-health interdisciplinary research group and a number of other collaborations. So ISSTI actually has membership across all three colleges of the university and maybe a dozen schools. Yeah? So one consequence of that is that we're extraordinarily interdisciplinary, and our colleagues at SPRU did this mapping of the interdisciplinarity of different innovation studies and business studies centres. And this is a map on the map of science, and this shows how where our work is cited, how well work is cited in terms of journals and centres. And it shows how Imperial College, which is one of the top UK business schools, has a relatively wide range of citation across other fields. But then as we move to the innovation studies centres, like SPRU, we see a much wider range of centres, including work outside the core social science areas. It's been cited by colleagues in medicine, in energy and politics. Our colleagues at Manchester Innovation Centre even more interdisciplinary. And the reason I cite that was that Edinburgh came top on the interdisciplinary list. No centre compares with ISSTI in terms of the range of interdisciplinary connections that are made. And that covers, so this gives you the map of different areas where our work is cited. But if you look at the work that Andy Sterling and others did, what they show a clear hierarchy in terms of where our work is cited, in terms of who we refer to, and in terms of where we're publishing our work. So that's an astonishing achievement, and I think, actually, it's a sleight of hand. Of course we're like that, because we're an interdisciplinary network, and so we're interdisciplinary. So I didn't tell Andy Sterling it's just a kind of it's just an artifact of how we were established. But it's very pleasing to see that we've achieved that, and we've achieved over time a range of interlocking research programs, a lot of research recently in the area of life science with the Asian Genomics Forum, the continuation of work on information and communication technologies, and now the Digital Economy Network is looking to get lots of us UK money in the digital economy area. Work on energy and environment, mainly centred around Energy Research Centre in College of Science and Engineering and the Geosciences Department there also. The work that's going on in history of science, technology and medicine, but also a whole range of other areas. And Donald will be talking to you about how he's taking STS perspectives into understanding financial markets. I've mentioned via a range of areas that we're engaged with. But there's a kind of, there are some kind of common themes that cut across these different areas of our work. So ISSTI, which started off as a kind of very concrete and focused collaboration between three different groups, has become something else. It's become a network of networks cutting across discipline-based and subject-based divisions within the university. I have to say, I want to claim a bit that Edinburgh has some distinctive strengths and traditions. A distinctive strength going back to the Science Studies Unit's lessons about very empirically detailed research. A distinctive strength about work that's theoretically innovative. We're driving forward new theories in social science. But at the same time, it's not abstract. Much of our work is engaged with policy and practice, actually working directly with policymakers and with engineers. And many of the kind of grey hairs like me were former scientists or engineers ourselves and speak in a particular way with policy and practice. And that's a tradition that we want to carry on. And as I say, highly interdisciplinary. I think it's clear that we're top in Scotland. What might be contested is where we come in the UK rankings. We may or may not be first, but we're certainly in contention. We're certainly in contention for leadership in the UK, and it would be actually invidious to start having comparison. But we're rather strong, and that puts us rather strong in Europe and the world. We have very strong international collaborations, and I think Science, Technology and Innovation Studies has grown strong by its promiscuity, by its willingness to make links with other centres. And over this year, we renewed our collaboration agreement with the Chinese Academy of Science and Secret Policy and Management. We've just signed with one of our former PhD students a collaboration agreement with Sharif University in Oman, and we're building links with Seoul National University and hope to have a collaboration agreement later in the year. So we're becoming part of a kind of global network. Actually, I say, in these areas, we're building a global academic network of people who know the kind of research that we're doing and interested in the research that we're doing. So that, in a nutshell, is where we're coming from.